Okay, so what if you made a race that could not naturally grow, aka had zero population growth, but the game threw in a bunch of extra bonuses to make up for it? What if there was a way to completely avoid the pop growth penalty while getting all the bonuses? Yes, there is a way, and it is my new favorite build, Lithoid Necroids. This build is on par with ringworld, habitats, and doomsday origin builds hands down. Of course, all of those are the most powerful only if you know how to build around them. Hence why doomsday might sound a little counterintuitive, but it is indeed among the best ones in certain circumstances. Today I'll show you one example of building around necrophages that will make you a powerhouse from the get-go. Now mind you, for this to work you will need both lithoids. You'll probably need all the expansions, I'm guessing, with the exception of the cosmetic ones. So let's talk about the strategy, the general strategy here. The most important economic resource you have is your population. Meaning, population will oftentimes determine how strong your economy is. So, why would you want a race that cannot grow? Simple. Because when you select the necrophage origin, you get to make a second race which will be specifically built to do worker jobs and grow. In a way, you're playing as vampires. You can now breed on your own, but can transform other people into yours. Since you can convert any organic pop into your race, it really does not matter what pop you are. Your pops get extra production from being specialists, your subservient species will be specialized to do worker jobs, and this lets you specialize your population to the maximum effect. All the decisions made in this build exist for that reason. The reason behind Lithoid Necroid is to reach maximum starting habitability, letting us safely settle any world, now mind you, in addition to the previous bonuses, including tomb worlds. The 0% pop growth is avoided here because our main pop is never selected to grow. And for this reason, only the organic pops are selected to grow. You effectively do not suffer any penalties from your 0% population growth speed. Your subservient species, as is shown in the picture, are made to take advantage of their permanent assignments to workers. Your job will be to make sure your main species always work specialist jobs, and if they are working worker jobs, you should transfer them to planets where they can work specialist jobs. This is the core of what you should be doing in the early game. This, on one hand, makes your late game very strong, but early game a bit bumpy. Or that would be the case if the game also did not give you primitive worlds as your guaranteed worlds. With the fusion of up to 40 pops in very early game, you solve your early game weakness problem. Now, this sets you up for the fastest start possible. Now, of course, when you capture those worlds, you will need to wait 10 years to be able to transfer those pops or get any meaningful production out of them due to the culture shock modifier. But what you do during that time is your early setup of robot construction and administrative buildings. Those two buildings do not get affected by the production penalties that are incurred due to low stability from culture shock or any production malice for that matter. This gives you raw production capability that will allow you to steer into whichever strategy you wish. For example, if you wish to keep expanding, now you have resources for it. If you wish to go to war, you will have the most population, meaning if you construct alloy manufactories, you will have the highest alloy production. This can let you wage war early to conquer and expand your economy. And let's quickly talk about the tradition changes because this is one of the most important parts. The optimal tradition path in this build is a little weird, and it really depends on the circumstances. Because since you do not directly colonize your guaranteed worlds, you can certainly skip the expansion tree and quickly dip into harmony. I'm of the opinion that you should complete the expansion tree first if you're not starved for space and can colonize multiple planets. Now, this is oftentimes not the case in these huge PvP games where you've got like 20, 30 players. You will be lucky to even get your guaranteed worlds. If not, and you must fight to expand, you can skip this tree, quickly dip into Harmony for your changed lifespan expansion tradition. That tradition now increases your unity generation every time you convert pops into your species, thus turning itself into an investment that pays off more the faster you invest in it. If you have aggressive neighbors, you can quickly get the Bulwark of Harmony against those pesky rushers who seek to threaten you and turn the tide of battle. Now, this is where scintillating skin on your main species comes in effect. The fact that your population produces rare crystals means not only do you have access to that resource quickly, it also means you have access to the edict that increases the damage of your lasers, putting you even more ahead of the competition in direct combat. After that, I recommend dipping into Adaptability Tree, which further increases your habitability. Now, this is assuming you have already completed your Supremacy Tree. So first, Harmony, Supremacy, Adaptability, which further increases your habitability. But the best part is the extra build slot, which I suspect will not be as important after the next expansion, but currently it is great because you can use that build slot to turn your under 5 pop planets into a robot production factories, which makes Tomb Worlds very viable to colonize for population growth early on. When you get 10 pops to upgrade the colony building, you got a slot to specialize. If you're playing more aggressively, then I suggest dipping into Harmony, then going full into Supremacy. And I found that I consistently finished Supremacy Tree and my dips into Expansion and Harmony by year 25, and the two trees by year 30 or so. So dipping into trees doesn't set you back that much, and the investment pays for itself. Later on, you can direct your resources as you wish. If you wish to specialize in science and would like Turtle Down, and would rather not go to war, you certainly can do that and be more successful than most other competitors, with the only exception I can think of being the ringworld. Since this origin does not preclude you from taking rank S civics if you wish, you can have slaver guilds and technocracy for maximum effect. One caveat, however, is that one of your new species should be made indentured servants so they can take specialist jobs, since you will simply not have enough pops of your own to take those. When played right, this will make you marginally stronger at everything you wish to do against your competition. If war is not a viable expansion plan, and wars are pretty straightforward, and oftentimes war is not quite viable, you can focus inward and focus on economic development, as I said before. The key here is making sure your worlds have the bare necessities, which are robot production, chamber of evolution for amenities, and then your specialization buildings. This can let you bid your time and plan your future growth, whether it is peaceful or aggressive. Oh yes, Chamber of Evolution completely replaces the need to have a holo theater and produces just as much resources in terms of amenities and unity. My favorite part about this build, however, is its RP potential. Recently, I've played a weaker version of this for an RP campaign, and I quite enjoyed the RP opportunities. I could have easily roleplayed as vampires in space, but due to that limitation, I instead have roleplayed as a step between organics to cyborgs and synthetics, which made perfect sense to me considering, they're lithoids, they transform their population, which I think is a very interesting mechanic that you can very much play around with. But outside of those things, on its own, it has these great bonuses you get, which are similar to Synthetic Ascension, and you may think that Synthetic Ascension is just a small step upgrade for this build, but it is much more than that. The Chamber of Elevation does not only increase your population of your species, but also replacing the amended buildings such as holo theaters gives you an edge. your changes to traditions, gives you an edge, increases your habitability, lets you colonize everything, which means you effectively have more raw resources. I hope you enjoyed this build. I have posted the image in the video in the background. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.